In 1992, at a trade show in Las Vegas, IBM showed the world the future. It was a brick-sized device called the Simon Personal Communicator. It had a touchscreen, it could send emails, it had apps. It was, by every definition, the first smartphone. But if you ask most people when the smartphone was invented, they'll say 2007. They'll say Steve Jobs. They'll say Apple. Why did the world wait 15 years to adopt a technology that was already sitting on a shelf? This isn't just about gadgets. It's a recurring glitch in human civilization. In the 1840s, a doctor discovered that washing hands could save millions of lives. He was thrown into a mental asylum for saying it. In the 1900s, electric cars were more popular than gas cars. Then they vanished for a century. Why does humanity consistently ignore the next big thing for decades? Is it a lack of genius? Or is there a darker, more systemic reason why the future is often kept on hold? Today, we are uncovering the hidden forces of the innovation lag, and by the end of this video, you'll realize that the most world-changing technology of the next decade is probably already here. We're just ignoring it. To understand why we reject the future, we have to look at the tragic story of Ignaz Semmelweis. In the mid-19th century, childbed fever was a death sentence. In the best hospitals in Europe, 20% to 30% of women died during childbirth. Semmelweis, a young Hungarian doctor in Vienna, noticed something horrifying. The ward where doctors and medical students worked had a much higher death rate than the ward run by midwives. Why? Because the doctors were coming straight from performing autopsies on diseased corpses to delivering babies. They didn't wash their hands. Semmelweis instituted a simple rule: wash your hands in a chlorine solution. The death rate plummeted to almost zero. It was a miracle, a scientific breakthrough that could change medicine forever. So, did the medical community celebrate him? No. They destroyed him. The elite doctors of the time felt insulted. The idea that their hands, the hands of gentlemen, could be dirty was offensive. Semmelweis couldn't explain why it worked because germ theory didn't exist yet. He only knew that it worked. This is what psychologists now call the Semmelweis Reflex. It is the automatic tendency to reject new evidence because it contradicts established norms. It's not about the tech, it's about the ego. We've all heard the saying, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. This is perhaps the biggest lie in business history. In reality, the world doesn't want the best product, it wants the easiest product. Look at your keyboard. Look at the top left row of letters. Q, W, E, R, T, Y. This layout was designed in the 1870s for mechanical typewriters. The keys were actually placed to slow you down, so the metal hammers wouldn't jam. In the 1930s, August Dvorak created a simplified layout. It was objectively better. It reduced finger movement by 60% and increased typing speed by 40%. It was a better mousetrap. But you aren't using a Dvorak keyboard today. Why? Because of switching costs. To adopt the better invention, the entire world would have to unlearn a skill. Billions of people would have to be retrained. Companies would have to replace every device. In the US market, this is a silent killer for startups. To overcome human inertia, an invention has to be 10 times better, not just 10%. Imagine you've invented a teleportation device. It's fast, safe, and cheap. But it only works if there's a receiving pad at your destination. If no one else owns a pad, your invention is a $10 billion paperweight. This is the network effect, and it is the graveyard of brilliant ideas. Take the electric car. In 1900, they were the preferred choice in American cities. They didn't vibrate, they didn't smell, and they were reliable. Then came the discovery of massive oil fields in Texas. Gasoline became dirt cheap. But the killing blow was the Federal Aid Highway Act. America built thousands of miles of roads for long distances. Gas cars could refuel in 5 minutes at any general store. The electric car needed a charging grid that didn't exist. An invention is never just a product. It's part of an ecosystem. If the world's hardware, the roads and the pipes, isn't ready, you will be ignored for a century. We didn't choose the best car. We chose the car that fit the world we had already built. But what happens when the world is ready, but the people in power are not? Welcome to the dark side of innovation, corporate cannibalization. In 1975, Steve Sasson at Kodak invented the first digital camera. It was the size of a toaster, but it was revolutionary. He showed it to his bosses. Their reaction? That's cute, but don't tell anyone about it. Why? Because Kodak made billions of dollars selling chemical film. They buried the future for 30 years to protect today's profit margins. This isn't an isolated incident. In 1924, the Phoebus Cartel met in secret. GE, Philips, and Osram realized that light bulbs were lasting too long. So, they legally agreed to reduce the life of light bulbs to exactly 1,000 hours. They didn't just stop progress, they engineered failure. For 50 years, long-lasting bulbs were suppressed because efficiency was bad for the quarterly report. In the US, this is often disguised as lobbying. Big industries spend billions to ensure disruptive inventions never get off the ground. If the world is designed to reject the future, how does the future ever arrive? Success isn't about the invention itself, it's about convergence. An invention only goes mainstream when three walls crumble at the same time: technology, economics, and culture. Think about the iPhone in 2007. Was it the first smartphone? No. But in 2007, data was fast enough, components were cheap enough, and culture was ready to ditch the iPod for an all-in-one device. If released in 1997, it would have been a catastrophic failure. This is the innovation sweet spot. Most geniuses fail because they are like seeds planted in frozen soil. It doesn't matter how perfect the seed is, if the ground isn't warm, it will rot. Look at artificial intelligence. We've talked about it since the 50s. Why is it exploding now? Because we finally have the chips and the data to feed the beast. The seed finally found warm soil. As you sit here watching this, there is a ghost in the room with you. Somewhere, in a dusty patent office, there is an invention that could cure Alzheimer's or solve the energy crisis. And right now, we are probably ignoring it. We ignore it because it threatens a billion-dollar industry. We ignore it because it requires us to learn a new habit. We ignore it because it makes us feel like the old way was wrong. But history's message is, do not stop. Semmelweis died in an asylum, but today, every doctor washes their hands. Kodak went bankrupt, but the digital world they feared is our reality. The electric car was buried in 1920, but it is winning in 2024. The innovation lag is real, but it is not permanent. The future isn't something that happens to us, it's something we choose to accept. What's an impossible technology you think is just waiting for its tipping point? Let me know in the comments. I read every single theory. Because the next person to change the world might be reading them too. If this deep dive changed your perspective, hit the subscribe button. We don't just cover the news, we uncover the forces that shape our existence. I'm your thanks for watching.